Last week, Russian Telegram channels claimed to have got their hands on a leaked NATO document suggesting that Ukrainian losses were way higher than Western officials were publicly admitting, and that Russian losses were way lower. Originally, this was dismissed as a Russian psyop, but a bit of digging by Bellingcat and other internet sleuths revealed that the leak was actually part of a larger leak, including at least 50 classified Pentagon documents, first posted on a series of obscure gaming Discord servers in early March. So in this video, we're going to take a look at what's actually in the leaks, their wild origin story, and what all of this means for Ukraine. Before we start, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell to stay in the loop and be notified when we release new videos. So, this story really starts on Wednesday last week, when the following image started doing the rounds on pro-war Russian Telegram channels. According to Russian military bloggers, this was a leaked photograph from an internal US Pentagon document suggesting that the Ukrainian army had lost somewhere between 61 and 71,000 troops, compared to just 16 to 17,000 lost by the Russian army. Now, by Friday, this photo was all over Twitter, and mainstream Western news outlets were already reporting on it. At the time, it looked like the most likely explanation for this was a Russian psyop, designed to boost morale among the Russians and put down the Ukrainians. After all, the idea that only 17,000 Russians had died in Ukraine was pretty implausible, given that publicly available Western estimates put the total number of casualties, including those wounded in action, at nearly 200,000, and even the most ardent pro-Russian commentators estimated something more like 30,000. However, an investigation by Bellingcat traced the photo back to 4chan's/pollboard, and it turns out that it was actually edited by the Russian Telegram channels to reverse the loss ratios. We should also say at this point that Bellingcat's investigation was really great, especially given that it was published only a couple of days after the original leak came out, and a lot of this video is based on that investigation. As such, we'll leave a link in the description if you want to read the report itself. Anyway, in the original photo, Russia's KIA are actually estimated to be somewhere between 35 and 43,000, while Ukraine's are estimated at between 16 and 17,000. Now, according to the Bellingcat investigation and archives of the 4chan board, this photo is a crop of a larger image posted by an anonymous user with the ID CXWF-LHRB on Wednesday afternoon. That day, the same user posted two other images, apparently also leaked from the Pentagon. Now, as none of us at TLDR want to end up on a CIA black site, and as a relatively small news channel we can't afford a legal challenge from the Pentagon, we're going to go on the safe side and pixelate the following images. But if you'd like us to grow into the kind of news outlet that could afford to take these kinds of risks, it would be great if you would subscribe. Nonetheless, the three images shared on the 4chan forum are pretty accessible online, so you should be able to find them with a bit of Googling if you want. Now, regardless, these documents were dated as D370, which means that, assuming D represents the first day of the invasion, i.e. February 24th, they were published in early March. Now, Bellingcat then traced them back to a Minecraft Discord server called Minecraft Earth Map, where on March 4th, a user called Psyker posted these three photos alongside 7 others, also allegedly leaked from the Pentagon. But that's not actually where these photos originated from. A few days earlier, a different user known as Luca apparently posted the images on another Discord server called Wow Mao, which is nominally a fan server for Filipino gaming YouTube Wow Mao. Now, from what we've seen, Luca posted something like 50 documents on the Discord server about a range of topics, including Ukraine, but also covering Israel, Iran, and China. Now, when asked by Bellingcat, Luca claimed that he got the documents from another small private Discord server with something like 20 active users focused on video games and Orthodox Christianity called Thug Shaker Central, which has since been deleted. So, that is the kind of crazy history of these leaks. But are they genuine? Well, it's certainly possible that all of this could be a well-crafted American psyop. And as such, both the Russians and the Ukrainians are skeptical. At the weekend, Wagner's Grey Zone Telegram channel warned their followers not to trust the leaks, and Ukrainian presidential advisor Mikhail Podolyak dismissed them as a Russian psyop ahead of Kyiv's anticipated spring counteroffensive. However, despite these dismissals, comments from the US do suggest that they are genuine. In response to the leaks, the Pentagon has created a cross-governmental panel. The Department of Justice is opening a separate investigation, and the Biden administration has spent the last few days trying to get the photos off Twitter. On top of this, several former NATO officials told The Economist that they thought the reports were probably authentic. So, assuming that these leaks are indeed genuine, what's actually in the leaks? Well, when it comes to Ukraine, there are probably three main takeaways. Firstly, the Russians are losing significantly more troops than the Ukrainians. According to documents, Russia's losses are more than twice as high as Ukraine's, and Russia now has less than 500 tanks left. Secondly, Ukraine is running out of air defense. According to these leaks, Ukraine is now running low on Buk and S-300 missiles, which make up about 90% of Ukraine's medium-range air defenses. And as such, Ukraine's air defense will be, quote, completely reduced by May 23rd. And thirdly, contrary to official statements, it looks like NATO countries do indeed have personnel on the ground in Ukraine. One slide suggests that there are nearly 100 NATO officials on the ground. 50 from Britain, 17 from Latvia, 15 from France, and 14 from America. Now, this is pretty massive news. Not only does it lend legitimacy to Russia's claim that they are fighting NATO, but it also massively increases the odds of escalation. But it's not just Ukraine either. There's some pretty wild stuff in there about other countries too. For example, one document claims that the UAE have agreed to share intelligence with Russia, which the Emirati government has since denied. Another claims that Mossad was planning on supporting the anti-judicial reform protests in Israel, which have recently subsided. Now, obviously this is pretty terrible news for America. For starters, these leaks have quite seriously undermined Ukraine. For instance, one slide includes details of which Ukrainian brigades have received which Western equipment, which could help the Russians figure out which brigades will be doing what in the coming counteroffensive. And the Russians now also know that Ukrainian air defense is nearly exhausted. But it's not just that strategic information either. The leak also undermines America's relationship with its allies. Not only will allies now have a hard time trusting the Americans with their intelligence, but the documents also suggest that the Americans are actively spying on a whole load of their allies, including Ukraine, Israel, and South Korea. All in all, while the documents confirm that the Russians are losing, they're also very bad news for both Ukraine and America. That's all we have time for in this video, but there's a whole world of TLDR content out there. You might not already know, but we actually have 5 different TLDR channels explaining the news from the UK, Europe, and the rest of the world, breaking down the latest developments in the business world, and running you through the day's most important news that you might otherwise have missed. And TLDR has been doing this for about 6 years now. So to celebrate our anniversary, we'd love it if you subscribed. Not only to this channel, but also any of the others that interest you too. They're all linked in the description. Anyway, our whole purpose is to make the world around you more understandable, to unpack the confusing parts of the news in a way that's interesting, factual, and entirely non-partisan. So if that's something that you're into, then you have 5 channels to enjoy. And regardless, thank you so much for your support over the last 6 years. It really means a lot.